Welcome back. 6.3b. So now we have some information given about our angle theta, and we have to find the trig functions, the 6 trig functions for that theta. So first of all, we are given the information that cosine of theta is equal to negative 7/12, and that theta lies in the quadrant 3. So you can do this question using the identities. So for example, and we know cosine theta, immediately we know secant theta, which will be negative 12/7, which is not a big deal. But in order to find sine theta, you can use sine square theta plus cosine square theta equal to 1, which means sine square theta plus negative 7/12 whole square equals to 1, and then sine square theta will be equal to 49, okay, 1 minus, so this squared will be 49/144, or 144 minus 49/144, which is equal to 95/144. Okay. So that sine of theta will be plus minus square root of 95/12. So now which value will we pick for sine of theta? Because the terminal ray of theta is in the third quadrant, so we will pick the negative value for sine theta. So now sine of theta will be negative square root of 95/12. So that secant theta now will be negative 12/95 into 95. And then you can find the tangent of theta, which will be negative square root of 95 divided by negative 7, which is square root of 95/7. And then in the same way you can find the cotangent theta, which will be 7 into 95/95. Or you can use this triangle that I have drawn here. So how did I draw this? Because I knew that the angle theta is in the third quadrant, so we just basically just draw a small triangle. That's what I did. So we draw our axes, and because the angle is in third quadrant, just draw a line like this, and then vertical on the x-axis, join with the x-axis. We do never draw it over here, okay, because our theta is going to be this angle, and it's never going to be this one. It's always the angle with the x-axis. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and we are given that cosine of theta is minus 7/12. Now the hypotenuse is never negative, it will always have a positive value. So if we have a negative sign with our fraction or with our value number, then that negative sign will go with the adjacent in this case. So adjacent or opposite. So in this case over here we will say negative 7. Now if this side is A, we find A, and we can come to know that A is going to be 95, square root of 95. But when we put it here, we have to have a negative A, because this is in the third quadrant. So once you have A, then you can write your this was 12, right? So you can write all the ratios using that triangle, like we did in, I think, in chapter 6, 6.1 or 6.2, we did this type of problem. Looking at the second part, secant of theta is equal to 5 and sine of theta is less than 0. Okay, secant of theta is equal to 5 means cosine of theta is equal to 1 over 5. So decide in which quadrant theta will be so that it satisfies these conditions, and then draw it. So see, cosine is positive and sine is negative. When does that happen? It happens in the fourth quadrant. So you will draw a line like this in the fourth quadrant and then draw up a vertical on the x-axis. This is your theta. So cosine is 1. 1 goes here and 5 goes here. Okay, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So now notice that the adjacent is positive because we are along the positive x-axis, but this side will be negative, will have a negative value. For now, let's call it a and find a. So we have a square plus 1 square is equal to 5 square, or a square is equal to 25 minus 1, which is 24. So a will be equal to square root of 24, but which is equal to 2 times square root of 6. Okay. So this a will be negative. I mean, when you put it here, you will have to have a negative sign with it. So now you can write all your ratios. So sine of theta will be negative 2 into square root of 6 over 5. Tangent of theta will be negative 2 square root of 6 divided by 1. So negative 2 square root of 6. And so now we can write cosecant theta, which will be negative 5 over 2 into square root of 6. To rationalize, multiply top and bottom by square root of 6, and we end up getting negative 5 into square root of 6 over 2 times 6, which is 12. And then last one is cotangent theta, which will be negative 1 over 2 root 6. Again, rationalize. Now when you rationalize, you don't have to multiply by this 2. We just multiply by the number which is the square root. So negative square root of 6 over 12. So these are our 6-ish. Okay, so now this is the end of chapter 6. Now we move on to chapter 7 in the next videos.